Hey guys, STLYoungblood with you for another episode of Captain's Log, and what we're going to do today is talk about the IFCS, otherwise known as the Intelligent Flight Control System. Now, before we talked about this a little bit in a previous video, but we have more information on it, things have changed a little bit, and we've got new subscribers to the channel, so we're going to go through them again as part of this official Teach You to Fly series. So, there's a couple different safety modes that you can use when you're flying your spaceship. The first one that we're going to talk about is going to be G-Safe, and it's really in place to help prevent you from either blacking or redding out. Now, it's not going to totally stop it from happening. It's still going to happen when you're using faster ships, and even some of the slower ships when you're really getting crazy. But it's worth noting that this is actually going to try and prevent it some. So if you try and move the ship in a way that's going to create more G-forces on your body, like more than you can handle, and you start to either black or red out, G-Safe is going to have the IFCS limit that movement some. And I guess I should kind of say, if you don't know what's causing blackouts and redouts, it's the movements that you're taking, specifically the acceleration, is forcing the blood either into your head or away from your head, either meaning you have too much or too little blood in your head, and that causes issues for vision and all sorts of other stuff. So the IFCS is going to limit that if you have G-Safe on. And that sounds great. However, you're also going to be limiting your ship's mobility and basically its potential awesomeness. Now, I don't know. I mean, it's a give and take. And it's worth noting, though, that if you completely black out, you and your ship are going to kind of stop having the ability to control it for a short bit. Not only are you going to be flying in a direction you can't see, and we've all seen the hazards of asteroids, but not being able to control your ship for a few seconds after you're actually able to regain consciousness means that you're a sitting duck. You're basically just a target that's in a straight line, and that's something you don't want to be. So, you know, whether you're managing the blackouts yourself or whether you're utilizing G-Safe, really a good idea to try and avoid blacking out all the way. A little gray around the edges is okay. Too much is a problem. Now, you can manage these blackouts by completely killing your throttle as you make your turn. So if you let's say you have G-Safe off, if you want to make a turn, kill your throttle and then make your turn. It also seems that turning on just one axis versus kind of a more rolling turn manages the issue a little bit too. If you're adding strafe while using the 6 degrees of freedom, which we'll talk about, it really makes the issue a lot worse. Now, keep in mind, since most of these blackouts are caused by the acceleration and those forces on your body, adding boost to a turn makes life much more difficult on yourself than it has to be. If you can, wait until you're facing the direction you want to travel before applying the boost. Now, I personally always fly with G-Safe off, and that's because I kind of just prefer to manage it by myself. I like the additional mobility I get and the maneuverability I get when I keep G-Safe off. And you can sort of manage it by changing the direction or the severity of what you're currently doing that's causing some of those G-force issues. A lot of times it's a mistimed boost that's causing that. Now, I have found, though, that incredibly fast ships like the M50, I almost prefer G-Safe on, and I play kind of back and forth with them. But I think that's probably partially due to my lack of use with it. You know, I'm only using it right now because it's on a free trial. Whereas with the Hornet or the Aurora or the 300 series, excluding the 350, I prefer to turn G-Safe off. And if you've been paying attention, the videos in the background, at least a couple of them, have been flying the M50. And you can see how quickly I black out and red out when using G-Safe, or I guess when G-Safe is off versus when I have it on. Now, the next safety we're going to talk about is COMSTAB. And COMSTAB is a kind of a short, it's not really an acronym, it's shortened, it's Command Level Stability. And basically, in space, your ship naturally wants to continue on its current trajectory. You know, when you have COMSTAB on, it's going to kind of limit that sliding by slowing down your ship's velocity during the moves that are causing the sliding. So, much like with G-Safe, it's going to limit the awesome moves that you can pull off. And it's going to really kind of limit just how well your ship actually controls. Now, it can help prevent you from crashing into shit, which is going to happen, especially with all the little floating asteroids and terraformers out there. But once you get the hang of it, the sliding can really kind of be used to your advantage and really kind of help create some sweeping turns. Now, COMSTAB is one that I always play with off. I don't use it on, it doesn't matter if it's a fast ship, a slow ship, a big ship, a small ship. I don't care. I don't use it at all. I really prefer to manage it by myself, and because of that, and the more I play with it, I know what to expect out of my ship. Basically, there's not a whole lot of physical changes that are going to happen to your pilot when you're actually using it. So the only thing you need to worry about is your situational awareness. So if you can get comfortable playing with COMSTAB off, or even if you're not comfortable, play with it off, get familiar with how your ship is going to handle, and you're going to end up being a better pilot as a result. Now, who knows? Maybe that changes when we see something like the GN Scout come out, the Car 2 All. Maybe something that's super maneuverable, this becomes more of an issue, and having COMSTAB on is better. I don't know, but from what I've flown so far, I see zero purpose in using COMSTAB. Finally, I guess the next one that we want to talk about is really just an IFCS flight mode, and that's going to be coupled versus decoupled. And the best way to think about this is coupled flight is nose forward flight. It's traditional flight. It's what we see here on Earth. It's what we're comfortable with flying. It's basically you're flying in a line and the nose of your ship is always leading the direction you're going. Now, decoupled means that you're not coupled to the nose's direction. Basically meaning that your ship can actually rotate and change its orientation without changing the direction it's actually flying in. Now, I typically fly in coupled mode, and that's just because it feels so much more natural to me. And probably also partially because I fly with a HOTUS, and the setup isn't as good as using like mouse and keyboard. Mouse and keyboard's a little bit set up a little bit better for flying with something like decoupled mode. But I do like having the ability to decouple and turn around and face someone that's on your rear, basically getting your guns on target while continuing in the same direction. That ability is fantastic. In the video I've got playing right now, you can see how I kind of use the terraformer to display how I continue along the same flight path. I kind of shoot towards the gap, I turn, and I still float through that path. Something like this example would allow me to continue on my path, get my guns on target as quickly as possible, and then basically, after I've completed my maneuver, then is a situation when I would recouple and go back to my standard style flight. That's one of the only times that I personally use decoupled mode, and that's just for that quick turnaround to get on target. The only other real time that I use it right now, and this may change as I play around with controls and key bindings and stuff, but right now, sometimes I'll use it when I'm actually hiding in asteroids. And I really don't even do that anymore with the 6 degrees of freedom. But you can use decoupled mode to kind of get behind an asteroid and kind of dodge back and forth and let somebody close in, you know, especially if you're talking about something like a 300 that's got long range power with the Omniskies. Maybe you don't want to engage them at a long distance, so you use an asteroid as cover until they close in, and then you come around and maybe engage them. Having the freedom to kind of strafe up, down, left, right with the decoupled mode is good for purposes like that. And then finally, the 6 degrees of freedom is kind of like the hybrid mode, and this is what I really kind of use. And we now have the ability to use strafe up, strafe down, left, right, forwards, backwards, even while in coupled flight mode. Now, I personally have this rebound to a 4-way switch that's on the front of my throttle, and that allows me to make those movements. I don't really use forward or backwards on it right now. That may change. I just use up, down, left, and right, and that's kind of what I use in those asteroid situations I was talking about. Now, with that switch, I combine that with my coupled flight, and it really allows for some interesting strafing abilities. It's also really nice just being able to use these instead of having to leave coupled mode, which means I have to take my hand off the throttle to get over, hit caps lock, come back, make my changes, and then recouple and get going from there. It's just kind of that hybrid that gives me a little bit of the best of both situations. And in a follow-up video later on, I'm going to show how I kind of use this in dogfights as well that can put me into good situations and hopefully you can learn from as well. Basically kind of giving you the ability to strafe around your targets a little bit, keeping your guns on target while they are trying to keep theirs on you. So that's pretty much it. Those are the different flight modes, and hopefully it kind of helped explain them a little bit. If you have questions, please put them in the comments. I'll get back to them. Again, if you want to see things or if you have ideas for upcoming Captain's Log, put them in the comments and I'll try and get to them. Other than that, I've got family in town from tonight until after the weekend, so it'll probably be about a week until I get my next video up. Try and make do without me. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Have yourselves a wonderful day and take care.